Here we go.
Let's go.
Is that patented or trademarked yet from Dak Prescott?
Yeah,
I was like, can I say that?
Here we go.
You're a big Cowboys fan, aren't you?
I am. Have been since I was 5 years old. First game I can ever remember watching start to finish was Super Bowl 10.
Really?
Steelers, Cowboys.
Okay.
And I fell in love with Roger Staubach that day, and I have been a Cowboy fan ever since.
You know, I too like being in an abusive relationship. I don't really remember. I'm more of the Aikman, Emmitt Smith kind of era. I guess I'm a little younger than you. You don't look.
I will be 55.
No way. Do you look good for your age? What's your secret sauce?
Yeah, I have no idea. Olive oil, good Italian living. I don't know. People tell me that all the time. I look in the mirror and I see old.
I don't see that, man. That's good.
But it was funny the other day. I was talking to one of the other franchisees, a guy up in Austin. We've become really good friends. And we were talking about how long we're going to do this and things. And I was like, I get 5-7 years in this if I'm blessed to go that long in it and I can grow it. I go, it's time for me to retire. He goes, you're retiring young. I said, dude, I'll be 60. And he goes, get the out of here. He had no clue.
Really?
He goes, I had you 45 at best. I said, God bless you.
Yeah, you're lucky. You must have some good genes, in the family.
No, a lot of my family, especially on my grandmother's side, there were several. She was the last of 19 children. And
wow.
Yeah. I mean, all her brothers and sisters. And she had several brothers, and some of her older lived into their hundreds. My great-grandmother on my grandfather's side died at 99. So, I mean, I've been blessed. It's funny because my parents are both gone. And so, my mom died probably about 13 years ago.
Wow.
And then my stepdad died when I was in high school. And so we won't approach the real father question. That'll be later.
Okay. Different podcast.
Yeah, different podcast. And but I mean, so it's just kind of funny that but there is a lot of longevity in my family. So
that's good. My mom's side of the family. Well, my two grandparents just passed away. My grandmothers, and they were both like 93, 94 years old. And on my dad's side of the family, because my grandmother, I think, is part Indian. I guess I got some Indian lineage in me. Because I'm 65, and no, I'm kidding. No, but a lot of my dad, some of my uncles, they look good still for their age. And my aunts, they've aged well, I guess. But it's funny because when you're younger and you look at, if you were to watch, shows back in the day, people in their 40s, you're like, oh my God, they're old, and I feel sometimes that I'm old and that I look old. I'm, not quite 50 yet, but
I was
pushing.
Say, you're dancing around it.
I'm pushing it, but it's cool though that what helps me is like I like to work out, and I have a friend of mine who's 55 also. His name's John Rosser. Shout out to him. But he, man, if I can look like him or like you, but he's just a real fit guy. He's $150 maybe, but he can lift, and he's just been real structured, disciplined in life with eating and whatnot. And it's good because it helps me, it motivates me, and I slack sometimes. We all do, right? We get lazy and don't eat right, and trying to stay on that constant
trying to get off of that kick back onto the healthier kick right now. I've been a little lazy the last few months. Well,
the thing is as you get older, you start realizing it more, right? And you're younger, and you don't really think about it as much, and the thing that I do like though is we do have like the workout group that I work out with, accountability partners, and just having people to kind of push you, right? Yeah, no different than with work, right? Business and whatnot, which is why I love our power team that we're doing as well. And I will say the one thing I love about you is, man, you bring a lot of energy to the group. I don't know if that's just a natural thing because you do have that leadership skill. I don't know if you were in management before or how your journey started, but that is something I really, really am grateful for because in that group specifically, all of us there, and I get encouraged by all the other leaders in the group and all the business owners, right? And but what's good is not everybody has the same personality, right? You got some that are a little more reserved, a little quieter, but I feel you're pretty boisterous. Maybe it's the Italian side of you. Is that?
It's just me.
It's just you. But I like that. Even you mentoring some of the newcomers in our groups helps, and that's something I get encouraged by. So I do get inspired by that because that energy is important, and if you don't have that, it's hard to just get motivated to do anything, right?
It's funny because I get that a lot. People used to call me the eternal optimist. They used to say, you're always so happy. You're always so this. You're always so that. I guess it just comes from, it's just something that's been in me since I was young. Even, even when I was playing football and when I was doing other things and all through A&M and, even in any professional career that I've had in the different companies I've worked for prior to owning the business, I just look at things as, okay, that went bad. What are you going to do next? Mm-hmm. And don't get me wrong, I get down, but I try not to share that with other people too much. Right. Because if I haven't figured out what I'm going to do next, and I'm not going to stand around and complain about what's happening in my life, I get to points where I have to stop and say, I need some help. Right. But that's only after I've gone through my process of, okay, that didn't go well. What am I going to do next? How am I going to handle this? And when it comes to how I want to interact with other people, I want to be a source of light, joy, happiness, inspiration, not for any other reason that, something that stuck with me a long time ago is this is going to sound really goofy. There's a Garth Brooks song. I forget what album it's on.
Friends in Low Places?
Well, that one. I got a lot of
those. Maybe not that one.
Got a lot of those. But it's called The Space in Between.
Okay, yeah.
And the paraphrasing the line, it says everybody has a beginning date and an end date, but what matters is the space in between. Yeah. We're all going to end up in the same place. And we all started off the same way. What are you going to do in that life? And I consciously choose to just try and be somebody that people think that they can depend on, whether it's in work, whether it's in my family and things like that,
That's awesome.
And it's just something consciously, and I think it's just become a part of who I am. I get the same thing that you just gave me. God, you're always so positive. Yeah. You're such a great I get that from the SprayNet people. All right. The leadership at SprayNet. And I take a lot of pride in that. Right. And then I joke with them. I say, yeah, but you don't see me when I'm sitting alone in my office going, oh God, what am I doing?
Well, one of the hard things though, the hard things with and I think for men in general, because, we all want to, and you're genuine in your approach with what you're doing and your spirit about you and your energy and your willingness to want to help people. And that's obvious. But, having that kind of that armor all the time, 24/7 up, right? And I think the challenge sometimes is being vulnerable, right? When you do have your downtimes, who do you call? Do you have a support, team? Do you have an accountability team? And that's one of the challenges for men, I think, as leaders as well, to not be afraid to be vulnerable. Sometimes it's for me. I mean, that's one of my struggles. I have 3 sons. And honestly, one of the reasons why I wanted to do something different like this and do a podcast was to basically just be transparent about who I am and be honest about who I am and share some vulnerabilities. Obviously you want to encourage each other and share some strengths and share some experiences and challenges. But I think what would be good is to, in the future, part of the reason why I'm doing this is I want my sons to look at this or family and look back, have something they can maybe listen to or watch and say, oh, you know what? Dad did go through these, issues, as much, and they know me. It's not like I'm putting up this fake facade in front of them. They know who I am, but sometimes, you got to be strong, right? You got to be, the rock of the family. And, so the challenge sometimes, and I'll ask you this. I mean, do you struggle with having that accountability? Maybe to chat with someone else, or do you even have that support group? Whether through church or other peers or.
Well, I'm a very faithful person. I always like to be transparent about it. I'm a lifelong Catholic. I'm not as I have not been as good in my faith as I'd want to be maybe in the last couple of years, just because I've let kind of life get in the way a little bit. And that's in the religious practice of. But my faith, to be very honest with you, drives me every day. Yeah. I learned, for whatever reason, it stuck with me from when I was a kid, that And don't be wrong. The human side of me decides to try and do it on my own. And I've been in some low points in my life. What I realized is the lowest points in my life are when I try to do everything myself.
Right.
Mentally, spiritually, whatever. When I really decide that God's got the wheel, there's a plan, I might not get it, I might not like it, but he has one, keep moving forward.
Right.
Believe that there's something in play that you may not understand right now, but something good's going to come of it. Even if it means you fall on your face, and that's when you look up at God and he goes, I've been here all along. I've just been waiting for you.
Right.
As far as support group goes, I keep people close to me that I know that when I am in my worst, some of them are family, some of them are friends, some of them are business acquaintances. But I have found that it's almost like a catalog of people that I know when I'm at my biggest struggle.
Yep.
I can turn to and say, hey, I'm struggling. I'm bottomed out. I need some inspiration. I need some help. I need some advice.
Right.
Whether it be my uncle, some good friends of mine. Sometimes it's looking at my wife and saying, hey, we need to talk about this because I'm struggling and I want your input. But I'm not afraid to say that.
Yeah.
I'm not afraid to ask that. Now,
that's good though.
Sometimes I wait too long.
Right.
But I think that's the man part. You touched on that. There's a pride factor involved. But I'm not afraid to finally say, okay, I've done the best I could. But the first person I always go to, the first thing I always go to when I get to that point is I turn back to God and say, okay, I've tried it my way. Your day, your way. Tell me, give me the strength to be patient because you have something in mind. And I've been, I go back to when I started this. The only reason I'm doing this business is because July 2019, my life took a complete left turn. I had been working for a company called R.J. Huntley. I was, and at that point I had achieved, in the 3 years I was with them, I had achieved what I had been kind of striving for. I would call a dream job, but what my goal was there. I was the U.S. service director for a medical device company. I had 6 direct reports across the country, 50 service centers. We were doing well. Everything was great. Money was good. Business was good. I was learning a lot. I was on the ranks. I was going to keep growing. In July 2019, my boss, me, and my 6 direct reports got laid off. They did a RIF. They did a management consolidation, and we lost.
Wow.
And it was the first time I was unemployed since I was 15 years old.
Wow.
Ever.
Talk about I mean, talk about being scared, right? It's like
So I go get my severance, work 6 months, get on with a consulting group with a friend of mine. Again, God takes you where he wants you to go. I'd been applying and nothing been working out. And I get a phone call from an old friend of mine that I went to high school and college with. He owns a consulting and services firm, mainly directed at supporting military, the warfighter, aerospace, and things like that. He goes, hey, we're doing, I have a group that does lean manufacturing and process improvement stuff for companies like Northrop Grumman and things, and they've hired us on to work on a project with them, and I think you'd be perfect for this. Come work for me. So I did that for 2 years. The problem with that was I was gone. You do consulting, you leave on Sunday, you come home on Thursday. Sometimes you turn around and you leave on Sunday. Right. 3 weeks a month, you're gone. And after a couple of years of that, my boys are both grown, live in Dallas. And my wife looked at me one time. I came home from a trip. She goes, I didn't know the empty nest meant me and the dogs 3 weeks a month. So it really wasn't working for her. And in reality, for me, I was getting tired of it already because I was living out of suitcases in hotel rooms, and and there wasn't a lot of upward mobility in that job. It was the role. When that contract was up, there was another one. You go start working in Mississippi, or you work in North Dakota for a while, or you work in California for a while, or whatever. And I was at a crossroads again. And this time I looked at my wife and said, okay, do I go back into the corporate world? And I'd always entertained the idea of owning my own business. I said, do you want to take this chance? Before, when I had broached this, she goes, hell no. You need a job. You need this. We need stability.
Security.
This time she said, you still have that itch. She goes, we might as well scratch it. Let's see what happens. That hadn't been easy. And we've had to make some lifestyle changes and things, because you start a business and all of a sudden I'm not collecting the paycheck I was collecting when I walked away from this, whatever I was doing. But we've made it this far, and so, but again, God has a plan. I don't know if the plan at the end of this is going to be successful, or this has been one of my learning experiences and something else will come of it. But there's still a path here, so I'm going to keep walking it until something makes me realize that this isn't that path. But
how did you come across SprayNet?
I worked. It was funny. Again, I always put it to God. Ding, ding, ding. When I was in the middle of thinking about leaving the job I was in, the consulting gig, out of nowhere on LinkedIn, a lady, and shout out to Terry Villanueva. She's in New Braunfels. If you're looking for a franchise, she is somebody to look up on LinkedIn. She reached out to me and said, would you be interested in talking to me? I said, sure. She's fantastic. She does personality evaluations. She does a lot of digging on what kind of business you might want to run. And we worked for probably 6-8 weeks, just different things. And we ended up with a list of 4 or 5 service companies. She knew I didn't want to do food. I didn't want to do anything with healthcare. I'd been in that game. I know what it's like. Didn't want anything to do with it. But I was service oriented. And so we came up with several ideas. And so I started visiting with these different businesses. Okay. I landed. I kept coming back to SprayNet. One, it was the people involved. They resonated with me. I obviously resonated with them. It was something my wife could get behind. I mean, she has a great job. She's fully employed, but it was still something she could believe in. Right. And we both just kind of said, you know what? This feels right. This is the right fit. I knew, I painted a wall here or there, but nothing like we're doing now. But I always have prided myself on my ability to learn as well. And I haven't found anything I haven't been able to learn enough that I can manage it. The one trick about being a great manager is you don't have to know everything. You don't have to be the expert, but you have to be able to show that you have a grasp of what's going on. So if you're going to lead another group, they don't look at you like, you don't know what you're talking about, go pound sand. Well,
for sure, you have to lead them with good expectations. They actually going to make you look good. But if they don't know what you're wanting, then that's where kind of
I go in there and I can pick up a spray gun now and I can show somebody how to do something, and I guarantee you that resonates.
Does SprayNet offer you a lot of support and training?
Well, they do offer good training when you get started. There's always support, but it is your business, so you've got to put a lot of work in. But when it comes to it, there's all kinds of resources. They send a trainer down to work with you and your team on your first couple jobs, whether it be refurbishing cabinets or doing exteriors. I actually had somebody come down and do some retraining last fall because I felt like we were just not being as productive as we could. And at that point, I kind of felt like I always use this joke, the old Charlie Brown cartoons, the teacher, wah, 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 wah. Wah. That's who I was to them. I'd tell them and it'd be like, they're not, they're not hearing me. So I had a trainer come down and spend a week with them. And I told the team, listen, and I told him, be hard on him. But I was not involved. I said, I'm going to go out and I'm going to sell. I'm going to do my thing. And I'll pop in every once in a while. And then Pat and I would do a download. Pat was the trainer. Do a download every night and told me what he saw, what he didn't see. By the end of that week, my team went, okay, we get it. Yeah. Now we know what you were trying to say. And ever since then, our quality improved, our efficiency improved. But, even now when I walk in and say, what about this? Hey, have you thought about this and things? It's not, well, you don't know what you're talking about. You're the owner. It's, okay, let's have a conversation because I've shown an aptitude. I don't have to be the best at it, but I have to be able to, and some days I have to step in and work. Team short, somebody calls in sick, we have to get something done.
Well, I know you said you're growing though, right? You've got some more, another tech coming down.
Yeah, we have I actually had an opportunity, and this is the part about being part of a franchise that I like, because when you start your own business on the ground up, it's you by yourself. You get that part. That's you. Yeah. But being a part of a franchise and ingraining yourself into that culture and understanding, you start to meet people that are like-minded.
Mm-hmm.
So I have several other franchisees that I'm close with, and I've gained their respect. Thankfully.
And you can model after too.
Yes, and I've gained the respect of Carmelo, our owner, and the COO, Pat of operations, and some other people in there. And so, I've kind of taken that to heart. Well, one of the franchisees I became very close with in Denver, right after we got back from our annual franchisee conference, decided to close up shop. Which really shocked me, and we've talked about it on the side. I won't go into that part of it. But again, I'm going to go back to a theme. God does weird things when you don't expect it. He had brought his team lead to the franchise conference in January.
Yeah.
Cody and I hit it off. And Cody and my wife, because I brought my wife, Cody and my wife hit it off. Then out of nowhere, a few weeks ago, I get a phone call from Cody in Denver. And long story short, he goes, "Is there a job for me there if I wanted to come down?"
Yeah.
I said, "Pack up." So we've been working on getting him down here. He signed a lease the other day, and, target date's
awesome.
April 8th. He'll be working with me. But now I've got another great team. Somebody who's been running another business, but he's going to come work for me now. Now it kind of puts pressure on me.
Yeah.
I got to sell behind this
you got to
super
hustle
team now.
Yeah.
I can't let him run out of work.
For sure.
But, he actually said something the other day when we were talking on the phone, because we talk a couple times a week now and trying to, get everything lined up. He said, it's so funny that it was that conference that I went to and I met you and now we're here. And I said, Cody, you're going to have to understand something about me as we start to grow together as friends and we work together in this in Denver. I said, I do not believe things happen for chance.
Right.
I go, there was a reason you were there. There was a reason Jody was there. You two got, because when I told Jody that that Matt had closed up shop, first thing she said, she goes, "Get his down here." I said, "Already in work." She was immediate. She was like, "Get him down here." She loved him. And so I told him, I said, "I don't know where you are in your faith journey." I said, "Me, things don't happen by chance.
Right.
There's a reason. And I don't know what it is, but I feel like you're supposed to be here. So let's get you down here."
That's
awesome.
See what happens. When I first started, I have the same sentiment. I think God has always opened these doors for me, even when I felt like there's always been a silver lining. And when I went off on my own, 2007, been doing this since I was 20 years old. So I've been essentially in the industry forever. But when I took that leap of faith, I just said, screw it, I'm going to do it. And I've always had that mindset of just kind of jumping in and figuring it out, right? And I was already kind of experienced in a sense with the industry, but when you go off on your own, you're just like, okay, similar to your story, it's like, you get laid off, you're like, oh, now you don't got that paycheck coming in every week. There were 2 weeks that you're guaranteed. But the nuts of it was a year or two into me being on my own. Of course, in 08, 09, recession hits. That's not a great time to start doing what I'm doing. But my wife and I were already kind of like at that point, beans and rice. We were just kind of scaled down. We had a budget. We're like, okay, well, we got this. We'll be fine. And but one of the turning points in my business, and again, going back to like things don't just happen by happenstance. And I'll just give you a real short story of it. But I at the time, my son, and I remember we were kind of not struggling, but it was like slow and didn't have a lot of cash flow. I was kind of, just making ends meet. Always had what I needed, But my son wanted to do Boy Scouts. I think he was in second grade. And I take him to the Boy Scouts there at the school, and I got to meet the den leader. And this gentleman who I met asked me, he's like, "Hey, you want to help me, run the team, run the kids and whatnot?" Sure thing. So we got to know each other. Ends up this guy's in the construction industry, right? And over time, he invites me to go bid on some projects. I was like, awesome opportunity, right? And I'm going to fast forward to the good part. Well, it turns out this gentleman was not a man of integrity, not a man of honor, and basically didn't pay me for some projects. But the silver lining was this gentleman actually got me onto a contract that he had hired me for on base at Lackland Air Force Base, which I didn't get paid for. But that job that I did on base, I was able to create these relationships with these other main primary contractors that saw what we did, that saw that we were just putting all our effort into making sure this job got done. And the long of it is I got an opportunity to build my business because of this guy that tried to screw me over, didn't pay me, X amount, which at the time I was like, this is not good. But I kind of stuck to it, and I felt God was like, okay, you're lining me up with the right people. These people are giving me opportunities now. Now they're like, hey, can you do these projects for us? Can we deal with you direct? Because this other guy's not paying this. I was like, well, sure. And boom, all these opportunities came up. And all of a sudden, it was like from here to here in a matter of months, as far as the opportunities, the business, and the work. And throughout the time of the recession, I actually was able to grow and learn and build more relationships. And I can tell you more testimony, but it's just, to your point, it's never, I feel, just, oh, you got lucky. Right. No, man, I think, it's even going back to like if my son didn't want to do Boy Scouts, well, maybe I would have never met this guy. Right. But even just that, the way it works, it's like you look back and those are game-changing moments in life, right? Where if it wasn't for that, you wouldn't be where you're at. So it's awesome that you have this opportunity to grow your team and your business. And what are some of the challenges you feel like you've been facing? I don't know, how long have you had it? A couple of years already?
I bought the franchise, and it'll be 2 years in June.
Okay.
And then we didn't start really producing because it took about 6 months to ramp. I'd say 5 months to really ramp up. You had to get your name known. Right. SprayNet is new to the U.S. in general because it's a Canadian company. Oh, wow. Originally.
Okay.
They started branching out into the U.S. about 3 years ago.
Well, what differentiates SprayNet specifically with like any other painting company?
Well, there's really three main things that I focus on, especially when I'm talking to clients, but I'm talking to anybody. Mm-hmm. One is the product. We make our own paints and coatings. Okay. We don't use off-the-shelf paint. So whenever we complete a job, I will never have gone to Sherwin-Williams and grabbed exterior or interior paint or Home Depot or Lowe's or anywhere. Mm-hmm. We make all of our own product, and we make them specifically for the surface that we're applying them to. So the only thing we do on the inside of the home is refurbished kitchen cabinets. We have a specific product that has been developed specifically for that surface. Okay. Stain resistant, scratch resistant, best adhesion. And because we know the science that's in the paint that we are providing, we're very comfortable providing a 15-year warranty, which is another differentiator. Wow. Most painting companies are going to give you 1 to 3. That's what's on the can of paint of Sherwin-Williams or whoever else. And especially on exterior paint, that's unheard of. But we do 15-year warranty exterior as well because we know the science. We have our own team of chemists. We have our own team of developers. So it's not like somebody sitting in there saying, oh, this might work. We're on our 4th version of kitchen paint. We're on our 3rd version of a brick stain. We're on a 4th version of the stucco coating. They're always developing, always doing that. So that's a differentiator. Second differentiator, we don't use brushes and rollers ever. We only use high-quality spray guns. Nice. So you get that super clean, factory-looking finish every time, not something with brush and roller marks. Mm-hmm. The third thing is we don't subcontract. I hire my team. They are W-2 employees. And I can assuredly look at a client, show them pictures of work, and tell them, go out to my Google page. Every time you see the name Trish mentioned, she's going to be here on the job doing yours. That resonates with me. For sure. And I don't disparage anybody else's work. They choose to approach this industry their way. Right. Any other providers. But a lot of them will sell you the job, and then they have a list of contractors that they send. They send painters to your house. Right. Could be a different group doing this job and a different group doing this job. And that's fine. Right. We don't do that. Yeah. They're going to, you'll hear commercials. We proudly use Sherwin-Williams paint. Great. Sherwin-Williams is a good product. Right. I do business at Sherwin-Williams for other things, but not for paint. They provide a good product. I have used Sherwin-Williams on the inside of my house on the walls. Right. Nothing wrong with it. Mm-hmm. But, in certain situations, it's not going to last beyond 3 or 4 years, and you're going to end up repainting, which is great. Mm-hmm. We're going to offer you something that we're going to paint it once, right, and it's going to look great for years and years and years. And if it doesn't, we're going to come back and fix it, right? Because that's the warranty.
I think that's a big selling point too in regards to your employees, because I would venture to say a majority of painting contractors, and a customer will always ask, "Are these your guys?" And like, "Oh yeah, they're my guys." They're probably guys you just met at Home Depot, right? Or on this, maybe not all the cases, but you know what I mean.
List of contractors.
Sure,
they use.
Yeah, and the problem with that is that, going back to what you said earlier, as far as having the same values that you have, the expectations, and if you just kind of plug in different subs at different jobs, inevitably you're going to have something where they're all going to give you a different product at the end, right? And and the customer ultimately is going to be upset. And I think that's so important in regards to just the trust, right? Like, hey, well, these are his guys. This is your team, and they share the same vision, expectation, and I think over the years, as you build that relationship, even with your team, right, it makes you more comfortable too, because you know that you can leave the job, get them going, and they're going to perform at a high level and at a high expectation.
It's funny you say that, because yesterday I stopped by a job site. They're finishing a job today, actually, and they started on Monday, and I walked up. It was about 4:00, and I hadn't heard from Trish all day long. I hadn't been on the site all day. I got there about 4 just to pop in, and she was doing something. I looked at her. I said, "My assumption is I haven't heard from you. Everything's fine." She goes, "Of course."
That's awesome.
I walked around 5 minutes. I said, "All right, let's see you back at the shop." I left. Well, I'm in the way at that point.
Yeah. That's where it challenges you to, hey, let's go start getting some more jobs.
More jobs.
So what is obviously any homeowner that's looking to get their cabinets painted, right, is going to be a good referral for you. But is there maybe another trade or like property management companies, or like people that can be good referral sources for you on a continuous basis? Or who do you think you can benefit from?
I see 3 opportunities for us as we grow. Mm-hmm. One is obviously the builder contractor who has a need for painting, whether it be on the exterior or maybe a cabinet maker or installer who raw cabinets, doesn't like to paint, brings guys in to paint. I would love introductions or referrals or opportunities to work with them, because we do have what I consider to be a really high quality customized product that will look great and really enhance that custom cabinet maker's product. Right. The other one that is something I would love to get into is property owners, whether it be a rental home or apartments. Right. Not so much for the exterior on the apartments, but you kind of, we've all lived in apartments in our lives, college here or wherever. Somebody moves out, things get dinged up. You throw a coat of paint on something, move on. Somebody moves out, things get dinged up, throw another coat of paint on something. After a while, you got to strip it all because there's too much paint on it. Right. You got to start over. And they usually have their guy do it, or they've got this one guy who'll do it. And I would love to be able to get in with a good apartment complex, somebody who's not willing to, not afraid to spend a little money for a little bit of quality, and say, every time somebody moves out, let me come in and redo the kitchen. Right. Because you won't touch it again. Mm-hmm. I go, they're going to have to take a tool to it to damage it.
So they're going to invest a little more on the front end, but it's not going to be like,
When somebody moves out, then whoever's cleaning the apartment just goes, wipes the cabinets off, and you move on. Right. Because that's what our product allows. Mm-hmm. And so maybe being able to make that value proposition and getting that one.
It makes sense. I mean, I think once you get in the door and you're like, hey, let's give me a chance so you can see, and then you'll see where the value comes in. Yeah.
And most of those apartments, size-wise, would take us a day.
So I was going to ask you that. So your process, does it take, let's say, a kitchen, standard kitchen, a couple of days, 2-3 days?
Let's say,
do you do anything offsite, or is it all on site?
We do, unless there's no space to work, we do everything on site. Mm-hmm. Even in the apartment type situation, if we're working on even if we were doing something like that, as long as we have access to electricity and water, we can blow up a spray booth and we can do the doors and drawers on site. Wow. And then get everything put back together quickly. But most standard homes, I'd say a normal kitchen is, let's say, 20 doors and 10 drawers. That's 2 days.
Nice.
We made it out of there in 2 days and it looks brand new.
Wow.
That's why we also look at the value proposition of some people say, well, I want to replace my cabinets. And the question is, do you need to replace them or do you think that's your only option? Because if the wood's good and you really don't mind the way that your kitchen's configured, you don't want to do a remodel.
Right.
Why would you want to have somebody come in, tear everything out, all that mess, stress, get it back in and all that? When I can come in, take the existing, work for a couple days, make it look brand new, sweep up when we're done, wipe everything off, and leave.
Good to go.
And you're out. And you've got a product that's going to look great for years and years and years, and it looks brand new. And and that's really starting to resonate with over and over and over again. Clients are starting to understand that. So, but that back to your original question, that property owner would be great. A builder would be great. And then anybody who does installation of things like garage doors, windows, doors, because sometimes they'll install a garage door. They want a certain color and they just don't provide that. I can come in, we do a garage door, it takes us 4 hours.
Well, then you have an opportunity to maybe do the trim, right? Or do some other exterior work. But to clarify, because you don't do any walls, sheetrock. It's just interior. It's just cabinets, woodwork, but doors.
No, we can do pantry doors. We can do inside. Inside, it's anything that is not a wall. So we could do built-ins. We can do bathroom cabinets, kitchen cabinets. We've done pantry doors. We've done doors throughout the house, closet doors, things like that. Those all work. They can be taken off hinges. We can take them outside, spray them, let them dry, put them back up.
Gotcha.
Match up, things like that. Exterior, we do everything. We do front doors, garage doors, trim. We can do the window frames on the outside, the panes and the frames, if you want to match to your trim. And then we can do all the surfaces. Gotcha. The only thing that is different when we do exteriors, and I'm always upfront with people when I'm quoting a home, is if it is a man-made material, hardy board, fiber cement, aluminum, vinyl, hardy board, stucco, brick, all that, 15-year warranty applies, period.
Nice.
The only thing that the 15-year warranty won't apply to is natural wood. And people say, well, I don't understand. Why not? Because natural wood degrades. It's organic. Right. It's going to deteriorate.
Right.
I don't know exactly what stage your wood's in. Even if it looks good on the surface, I don't know what's happening. Sure. So we'll guarantee it for a year. And I tell them, I said, look, our product's going to protect it better than I think anything else, because all of our exterior products are UV resistant, color fast, moisture resistant. You don't get the mold and mildew because the moisture doesn't penetrate the surface and things like that. Right. And that's good for your wood. We just don't warranty natural wood because it's going to deteriorate over time regardless of what you put on it.
Yeah, I think most people would understand that.
And they do. It's just a good explanation.
Right.
But if it's brick, hardy board, stucco, vinyl siding, aluminum siding, any of that, you still get the same 15-year warranty.
It's awesome.
So it's just, it's just having people understand that value proposition.
Well, I think you picked a good franchise to be a part of, to be honest with you, because it seems like they've got good systems, good products, and a good organization. What do you do for fun, man? Do you golf at all or no?
I golf as much as I can, not enough.
So, bro,
I know.
Let's go. We
need
to. I suck at it, but I like to go out there.
What do you consider suck?
So after 2 beers, I do better. No, I'm kidding.
Aiming fluid, I call it.
I do swing lubrican't is what Tom calls it. No, I mean, I'm 18 handicap.
Yeah, I always if handicaps come. I'll
shoot in the 90s.
Yeah, that's me.
Yeah.
If I break 90, I was like, damn, I was hot today.
Yeah.
I'm usually 90, 95.
Where do you play?
Predominantly, I play probably Canyon Springs more than
That's
any.
where I played. Well,
because
I live right by there too. I'm like a mile from there.
I'm around the corner. Like I'm on Stone Oak. You know where the Abbey Apartments are?
Okay.
Canyons at Stone Oaks right across the street, little subdivision. You kind of go down the hill. Yeah, I live in there. I've lived in there for like 16 years.
Wow.
So I like Canyon Springs a lot. I'm a big fan of
that's a good course, though. It's a tough course, but it's good.
I'm a big fan of the quarry.
Okay.
I've always loved it.
Yeah.
And like I'm playing Saturday with some of my old college buddies who are going to be in town. We're going to play. I'm going to take them out to the Bandit.
Nice. Okay.
Which is a cool golf course. The golf course that's gone that I used to love to play that I was heartbroken when I left was the Republic on the south side. That was a fun course too. Silverhorn's a good golf course.
Oh, I hate Silverhorn. That's a tough one.
It is, but I like it. I actually shot the best round I've shot in the last 6 months out there about a month ago.
Yeah,
it was great.
It's tight.
It's tough.
Well, it's just like Canyon Springs. There's not a lot of room for error, but
love to play golf.
That's awesome. I like playing. So I play with Tom and the group on Saturdays. They have a Saturday group. I don't know if you know that, but and so we actually do different municipal courses, and what makes it fun though because they keep track of your handicap, and then there's a little friendly entry wager fee that we do, and they pay out for like low nets and low putts. So it makes it really cool.
You like the new layout at Almost since they reopened?
Yeah, man,
I like it a lot,
dude. And then the greens are bigger and a little more challenging now and stuff.
But they're very accepting. I like them a lot.
Yeah,
used to like to play Willow a lot. I haven't played out there in a long time. Hate Cedar Creek just because it's a 6 hour round and I hate going out there. But it's a great golf course. I just hate going out there.
Yeah.
Those would be my favorite meets. Brack is great. If I can play, but if I can play Almost for $40, why don't I want to spend $90 to go play Brack?
No, that's awesome. Golf's a good little getaway. I'm trying to get my sons to play. Do your sons play at all?
Yes, they do. They love
to play. That's cool. Yeah. Do you play with them? You said they're up north?
Yeah, they are. When they come home, we always, if they're both home, we'll try and get away. The funny part about golf is it's allowed me to teach them some things on the golf course. They
like
used to
patience,
get mad. They used
not cussing.
Well, they used to just get so mad. And I used to look at them, and this is my favorite. And when this finally resonated with them, we always have a good time.
Yeah.
I looked at them and said, "You're not good enough to get mad."
Exactly. Yeah.
I said, if you were a 70s golfer having a 90-day, I get it.
Yeah.
I go, we're out here to have a good time.
Well, it's cool because like when you play with the right people, it makes the world of a difference. So if you're playing with another group that just go out there to have fun, right? And I've played with some really good players sometimes. Then you're all tight, you're nervous, and then you whack the ball here and there, and they're just kind of like they're just piping it down the middle every time, looking at you like, what are we doing with this guy here?
Right.
But playing it with the right people makes it even funner, more relaxing. And I didn't pick up playing till like maybe 18, 19 years old because I played baseball when I was younger, and I think I just had a natural thing as far as swing, if you will. But I'm a lefty, so when my sons now want to start playing, and I don't have like clubs to like hand down because they're righties, and I don't know if you remember Jacob Pacheco, the electrician that I took in about a month ago, or to the networking thing, and it was kind of cool because we got to chatting because his son plays, and then so we were like talking about golf or whatever, and so anyway, he gave me an old set of his that right-handed for my sons. I was like, thought that was pretty cool, so they're excited about it because we went to Top Golf the other day, and I see how I was back then. It takes a while to kind of get that coordination. But what I'm looking forward to is just being able to get out there with them, just spending that time with them and hanging out with them.
We have some great times out there. And now that they're both, my sons are 28 and 24.
They have any kids or?
No, not yet. One's actually my oldest is getting married in January.
Nice.
And to a great girl.
Awesome.
We're real excited about that. But the fun part is now is I said, I'm paying for the round. I said, but I'm not buying my own drinks. And they look at me and I said, and they'll go, Cart Girl or something come around and I look at them and say, I'll have 2 Michelob Ultras, and they'll both look at me and I'm like, so it's great because I don't have to buy beer on the golf course. But we've had some really great times, and they look forward to it now.
That's awesome.
Like they'll call ahead and saying, "Hey, you don't have anything going on Saturday, right?" And I said, "No." I said, "We'll make it tea time." And we have a ball.
That's awesome.
And there's some friends of mine that I play with that know the boys and have played with us before. And so whenever I need a fourth, I have some guys to call, and they like playing with the boys too. Yeah. And we have a good time. My problem is I have to split because my oldest does everything right-handed except swing a baseball bat
and golf. So I have, well, he probably has his own set. So I was like, I have an old set. Yeah.
So my youngest is righty like me. So he's already chomping at the bit. Now he's a nurse now he's an ER nurse in Fort Worth. So he can afford to buy his own set, but he's also a miser. He goes, when are you going to buy a new set and give me yours? I'm tired of using this old set I've had forever.
Hey, bro, but golf is expensive, man.
It is. So I told him, I said, you can go buy a set. Have you priced a set of golf clubs? I said, and you're telling me to go buy some? But he wants my old set. So
I started the beginning of the year kind of doing not that like a Dave Ramsey cash envelope system, right? Just to kind of cut back and then I gave myself a certain budget in a month. And then I was playing golf. I was like, Jesus, this is eating up a lot of my quote unquote budget. And I don't spend a lot of money during the week. You know, sometimes I don't even eat lunch just because I fast or take food to the office. But then come Saturday when you're out golfing, man, you know, you're blowing $100, $150, you know, easily by the time you're, you know, it's all said and done. I mean, it's fun, but then like, again, you start thinking like, Lord, okay, maybe I can come back here or there. And then when I stopped drinking for a bit, then it became cheaper too, because I wasn't drinking. Although some of my friends say I'm not as fun when I'm not drinking. Sober Richard sucks, they say. Sober Richard's not fun, which I still have a good time. But no, I love golf. It's a good little escape getaway. I shouldn't say that. It's just good to get out there. For me, I find it, you know, it didn't being around other guys. Well,
you know, I was an athlete growing up. I played.
You said you went to A&M?
I went to A&M.
Did you play sports there? Or?
For a little bit. Because I played football at Judson High School here in town.
Oh, okay, nice.
And I started playing football when I was like 11, and then all the way through high school, and then I actually walked on for a little bit at A&M. Wow. Have you ever seen the movie Rudy? Yeah. I was Rudy. I was a tackling dummy. I just get my butt handed to me. I did that for a while, and I actually did that just because I wanted to see if could I do it. So we walked. You know, I walked on, made it for a while, went through practices, never saw the field, ended up leaving because I needed to get a job. I had to pay for school, but at least it's something I tried. But I've always been, then growing up here in town, you know, after Jody and I got married, I would do adult basketball leagues and I did softball. So I've always been an athlete. As I've gotten older, those things can't keep doing those things, but golf's always there. Yeah. I love getting out on a golf course because I like the challenge mentally. It's me and the golf ball, and I like you're still chasing somebody. If somebody's having a good round, then I'm like, okay, what do I need to do to catch them? So there's a little competition too. Right. I like the fact that I can get out. You know, guys will be like, well, we're going to drive to the ball. I said, I'm going to walk. You know, getting out there, walking, you're being out there, you're doing things, you know, not as athletic as I used to be, but I'm out there having a good time. And I just like that escape because when I'm out there, I'm not thinking about the business. I'm not thinking about anything else. Once we tee off on the first tee, all that matters is what's going to happen until we're done. And I just have a good time. Yeah. And that's really why I do it. I love to play. Well,
and then, you know, the age is a thing with golf that you could be 28 or 52 or 55. And there's a gentleman in my Saturday group that I play with. He's 92 years old, bro. His name is Hack. And man, I love this guy. This guy is like living the life. And it's funny, he told me this maybe last year, but it still resonates. And he bowls. He's in a bowling league. I play poker with him sometimes. I mean, this is a guy that's just.
I do that for fun too.
But he told me something that resonated with me and that made a lot of sense. You know, he's 92. He's out there, and he told me one time, he's like, Richard, I didn't start to live or learn to live until I turned 70 years old. And, you know, it made me think, because sometimes you go through life, right? You're just working, you're grinding. Then the next day starts, you're doing it again. And then you go through this routines of just doing what you're doing. And then time passes you by. And these are all things that you think about as you get older. Obviously, when you're younger, you don't think about. And but when he told me that, you know, it just kind of, you know, I guess it came to a point where he just decided, you know what, I need to start living life. And I don't know personally, maybe events in his life that happened around that time, but it just made me think, you know, and I was actually happy for him too, because, you know, 70 years old, a lot of people think, man, I don't got much longer to live, right? Who knows? But he's 92, and, you know, And maybe he's been having the most fun in his life the past 20 years. But but the point was like, it's like, man, just start living life now. I don't care what age you are, where you're at in your life, financially, business wise. The one thing that I'll say when I talk about I know a guy, God's always provided it, and I've never been without. I've known what it's like to have a lot, and I know what it's like to have a little. And but it feels like the more I try to connect with God, the more I appreciate things, the more I see things differently, right? Like you kind of, my biggest goal, even in being in what I've been doing for the past 17 years, is obviously you still want to grow. I mean, I still feel I got a lot left in my tank. I don't really even think about retirement.
Right.
I think about playing golf at 92 years old and still having my business. Maybe my kids are running it or whatever, right? But the point is you just got to still enjoy life, sit back, kick back, and appreciate the little things and just be grateful, right? And then find ways to encourage others and help others along the way. And I get excited about people, and you motivate me. I'm telling you, you're doing something, stepping into the entrepreneurial world at a more seasoned age, right?
Yeah.
And I use that word a lot instead of saying old, but it's a challenge, man. It's not, and you've heard so many success stories, of people that have in their 50s been able to succeed in life, right? And so that's the encouraging thing. When you're young, 20s, 30s, maybe you can take more chances, more risks, and sometimes people don't want to do that because as they get older, they fear, right? Like, well, what if I fail? What if this isn't the right move? But you won't ever know, right? You won't ever know if you don't try. And that's where I get excited about, sitting across people like you that aren't afraid to take chances, that have a good spirit, that have this ability to excite people, to encourage people, to be boisterous, energetic.
Well, something I'm going to, and I appreciate the compliments. Now I'm going to tell you a story. We've been a part of our larger networking group. I've been a part of that group for, a year and a half now. So August 2022. I really didn't know you very well. I knew of you. We spoke.
That's more my fault, though.
Well, no. But here's the deal. But I saw you as somebody I wanted to be like from a business standpoint. Now, again, I've had a theme all through our conversation. God points you in certain directions.
Right.
God touched you end of last year, beginning of this year to change some things. One of those things you changed was to be a little bit more available. And now it's kind of exploded all over the place. Right. And now you're now feeding off of that. But and I say this wholeheartedly, one of the blessings of this year so far has been the relationship I've been able to forge with you.
Oh, thank you.
Because I don't see you as just this guy running a business that I want to be like. I see you as a friend, a mentor sometimes, a source of inspiration, somebody that I could just turn around. If I was having a bad day, I feel like I could say, I need to pick me up, and I could call you. But that's just it.
Absolutely.
All of a sudden, here we are 2024, and now I have this person who's sitting across from me right now that I look at and say, not only do I it's not that I want to be like him, I want to know him. I want to share more with him. Now I know you're a man of faith. We've talked about that over the last few weeks and other things. Turns out you and I aren't nearly as different as I thought we might have been. Right. And that, to me, that's a blessing. Yeah.
Well, thank you. Well, it's easy. Can I say something? And thank you for that. And I will say it is easy to flip that switch sometimes when you're surrounded by other people that you can kind of emulate or be encouraged by. And I always talk about circles and being part of circles where you can kind of grow from and or learn from other people in your circle. And that's what makes it easy, being around people like you, for me to emulate you guys, right? And when it gets hard is when you don't have people around you,
right,
that can inspire you, encourage you. So, man, I love it. Greg Patulea, SprayNet. If someone asks me if I know a painter, I know a guy.
I know a guy who does great work in
hey, it's not about
flooring
me,
and construction. You have a great team behind you.
Thank you.
You and I starting to move in certain circles and things like that, and I get people talking to me about stuff. It's not that I know a guy. I know a great guy who's going to take care of you.